Hey, thanks everybody for coming. Today we're going to talk about senior relocation services, but also real estate planning. What is that? How, what can you do with that to change your world, to change the world of those around you? My name is Danny Ihara. I am the founder and leader of KW Real Estate Planner. I'm also a MAPS coach. I do the Fast Track MAPS program, and also ran a large team in Hawaii. We're the number one team in our market, and also an investor in two market centers in Honolulu and Maui. Let's go next one, Kapil. So here's the real opportunity when we're talking about older adults. Just imagine the 11,200 adults turning the age of 65 every single day. Now, I just turned 60 last year. I'll be 61 this year. And for those of you who know, we're a huge demographic, right? Just imagine how many, a third of all the population's a baby boomer, 73 million of us out there. Also keep in mind that 2.1 million are going to pass away over the age of 65, and 80% of them own real estate. What that means, that's going to take you to 1.68 million folks that are likely going to consider selling their real estate, not only their home, but also their investment properties. Then also consider 2.2 million are going to move after retirement. This demographic, ladies and gentlemen, has most of the listings. Next slide. So the reason why it's so important for us to focus on this is because we're on the brink of the largest transition of wealth in America. The last transition was 70 trillion. This one, our generation, 70 trillion dollars is going to be transferred from one generation, more than it's ever in American history. And much of that's going to be in the form of somebody passing away from a trust sale or a probate sale. Right? Next slide. So why are baby boomers selling? Well, they're themselves are going to go through some life changes. Right? The first thing happens is their home just not going to work anymore, right? They don't know where to go. Somebody passed away. Maybe they have a two-story home. Maybe the home's too large. It's just not appropriate anymore. The other thing that's going to happen is they're going to have some health concerns. They either have them currently or they feel as though it's on its way, right? What do we see a lot of? We see knees, hips, back physically. We see heart disease, cancer are the largest. Um, and then we see memory challenges, right? Should we be blessed to live long enough? Unfortunately, we're all at some point going to have some level of memory challenges, right? And then what's the problem though is we just don't know what to do. We don't know where to go. What does life look like? How do I get there? This is what a senior relocation services specialist does. We walk them through the process from beginning to end to their goals. Now, also keep in mind when we do seminars, I'm going to do one now right after this actually, um, for a live presentation in a retirement community, and I bring some of these concerns up. Interestingly enough, more than half of them have investment properties. And the challenge is they don't want them anymore. They're a burden. They're concerned with what we call the terrible T's. They're worried about the tenants, the toilets, the trash, taxes rising. And it's just cognitively overburdening for them because they're oftentimes in a phase of life, ladies and gentlemen, that they don't need the money, that they have more money than they can spend. And when that happens, now these assets become a burden, right? Um, they're also concerned about transferring wealth. They know about family disputes. They see it all the time. And I don't know, did you know that 70% of families are going to fight over real estate after mom and dad die? It's because they don't have a plan. Right? So they're worried about their kids fighting. They're worried about the property, the burden of the property, but also they're worried about capital gains tax. They know that it's the number one enemy to generational wealth. Okay, next slide. So why is it important to know senior relocation services? Well, first off, is at some point their home's not going to work for them anymore, right? Next. And then what's going to happen is you need to find them a new home. So what we happened to become 18 years ago was when somebody says, I don't know where to go, we would come in and we'd help place them. We actually became the placement company of choice in our marketplace. And I'm a realtor. I don't get paid to place them, right? But why did I do that? Because I knew that that was a problem that had to be solved. See, there are online sources like caring a place for mom, caring Care for Mom or something like that. There's a number of websites out there, right? And so kids are looking at it, but many times the older adults not. And so they need to know where to go, and they just don't know where to go. And once you do that, people are going to call you for advice. And when you show up this way, sellers are going to know that you care. Right? When that happens, then you're going to secure more listings, right? And that's really the goal, right? How do you get more listings in this shifting market? What we're seeing most of the time today in most markets says because the interest rates are so high, the move up buyer is not doing it. So if you're smart about your business and you really want to get listings, 59% of all listings are baby boomers and their parents. And so if you're not focused on it, you're missing a majority of the market. And keep in mind, this market, they have to sell for a reason, right? Either they passed away or they're getting older. Something's causing them to sell and move. And when you have these solutions, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to be able to build a network of referrals that's incredibly strong. You'll get a funnel of business from all of these resources that you're connecting to. So here's your first tip for those of you who haven't followed my training is when you go to a listing appointment, ask these three questions. Who's your trust attorney? Who's your CPA? And who's your financial planner? See, most realtors don't ask those questions because it has no relevance to the sale of the home. And from the transactional standpoint, that's 100% accurate. But from the real estate planner perspective, that's vital to our success. Because when we plan, we have to consider finances, we have to consider taxes, and we have to consider the legal implications when we're helping clients build, protect, and transfer wealth. Right? So why are they downsizing and moving? Well, because of physical challenges, like I said, mental challenges, right? They're going to pay for long-term care needs, family dynamics, people moving out of state, right? They're going to move in with family, or maybe the home's just too big and too much work to maintain. Then they're going to either sell or buy something smaller, right? But many are moving into retirement communities. That's where we cut our teeth on in this industry, and we built a model around it. And I go to a retirement community every month, and we do seminars, and they support it, right? And they give us leads, right? And so many will want to move to a lower cost of living environment. We see people that live in high land values around the coast of our country, they move to lower cost environments, right? And we see a lot of that. That's what's happening now. And then you want to have a little warmer climate. You know, all those that live up north, they're coming down south. For some reason, Florida's getting really, really heavy down there. Okay, next. They also want to be closer to family, or it could be medical care. We have a number of clients that I want to spend time with my grandson or my granddaughter, or I need to be closer to this hospital because I have a lot of treatments. Okay, next. So what do you need to know? You need to understand retirement communities. You need to understand the level of care. You want to understand the challenges that make this transition difficult. Then you also want to know the solutions to all of their problems, right? And then most importantly, you want to be able to have the right question and conversation that's going to get you to an appointment and an agreement, right? And this is what we teach in our community. Go ahead, next. So in the area of retirement communities, there's two types of retirement communities, generally speaking. There's a month-to-month rental model, and then there's a CCRC, continuing care retirement community. The month-to-month rental is just as it sounds, right? It is you pay a deposit, which is a community fee and first month's rent, and you can move out. It creates flexibility. This is the largest part of the industry that's growing today. Here's my other piece of homework for you is when we're done with this class, I want you to go to Google and ask Google, find retirement communities near me. And you're going to be astounded by how many there are. And that's one of the steps in our learning and our training is you go study them. And we have a whole process around that regarding the questions to ask, the spreadsheet to use, to be the master of understanding these solutions, right? The next is the CCRC, which is an entry-level care facility. What that means is the guaranteed take care of you for life. Or in our market, there's two models. guaranteed to take care of you for life. In the state of California, there's 5 models. Each state has its different model, and you need to look into it for your jurisdiction. And typically, the guiding line is the Department of Health in your state. Okay, so just Google it, and you'll find out more. Okay, in our community where we have training on that, that's 3 months long on this. Okay, next. Then you also want to understand levels of care. You've got independent living, like we all know. We have assisted living where you need some help. Then you have skilled nursing where you need an actual nurse, right? Around underneath all of these, you have memory care. Memory care exists in all 3 of these areas. The area of, when we talk about retirement communities, one of your first tips to learn this is we don't use the word facility. We use the word community. And that's just how the industry is wired, because the community is really what that is. It's not a sterile environment. The only time you use facility is when we have these skilled nursing facilities. Another acronym they use is SNF. Are you working at a SNF? Yeah, that's a skilled nursing facility. Now, it provides all room, board, meals, safe environments. It's all inclusive for that amount of care. Next, Kapil. So the problem is, the home's not going to work for them any longer, and they just need to move, but they don't know where to go. What you want to do is, number one, find them a new home. How do you do that? You need to know the options. What if you knew the options and somebody called you and they said, I don't know where to go, and after talking to him, he said, there's 3 places that you may want to consider, and here's why I'm thinking of them, because of what you want in them. And well, how do you know that? You got to study them, right? And that's part of the love of this business, is understanding something. By studying them, you don't make money by studying them. You only make money if that studying them helps you provide information to somebody that sees that valuable, right? And that's a large part of the population. And then, so number 2 is you want to help them process the change of life physically and emotionally. 3 is you want to help them sort their personal belongings. We use this acronym called sell, offer, retain, and toss. Everything in your home fits in one of 4 piles. And some people say, well, you haven't seen my house. I got a lot more than 4 piles, right? No. If what we do in your transition is you want to make things simple. Whenever you work with an older adult, you want to remove complexity in everything you do, in the words you use, right? In how you communicate and how we operate. And then you want to help them move and set up their new home and get their home ready for sale. And then you can, communicate and advocate for them, and you connect with them with collaborative, trusted advisors. Making sure if they don't, I can't tell you how many people I ask, who's your financial planner? And they go, it's Hilda. I said, oh, where's Hilda? Oh, she's at the bank. I said, what does she do at the bank? Oh, she's a teller. That's not a financial planner, right? Right? That's not managing wealth. It's just somewhere they put their money sometimes. So helping guide them in building, protecting, and transferring wealth involves all of these areas. And some of these areas are not real estate, but it touches real estate in many, many ways. Because I've always said the sale of the property is a byproduct of our services we provide, right? This is who we are. But, oh yeah, by the way, we do sell real estate, right? And that's a different way to show up, ladies and gentlemen. If you're looking for a way to differentiate yourself in your market from everybody else there, then you got to change the way you're doing things. I've been doing this for 19 years. We've closed almost 1,500 transactions and closed over $1 billion of real estate on one model. In fact, last month I was gone an entire month and our team kept growing. So this model is really designed for the market today. Next slide. So the seller's criteria is, do I like them? Yeah, you're all likable. Do I trust them? Yeah, you seem trustworthy. Here's where it catches. Here's the differentiator. Do I believe they can help me? Do I believe they can help me? And in most cases, most agents can't. And that's what's going to differentiate you from the rest of the crowd. You're going to be able to provide solutions to the problem that exists. Right? And the byproduct is you're going to sell a home. Okay, next. So take your phone out. Everybody got their phone, take their phone. It's a bunch of QR codes. We're going to move through this pretty quick. First one is, what's the first one? So if you're interested in our group coaching class, the fast track class, it's $199. It's four hours, 1 hour per week for 4 weeks straight. Starts March 20th. If you know anybody or you want to join that, feel free to click on that, and we are going to fill that class up. Next slide. Next opportunity is our real estate planner community. So that QR code really gives you all the information you need. So if you're interested and you're not part of our community, doesn't hurt, doesn't cost you anything. Learn more about it. We are really designed to train you the information you need in order to elevate your business, and then to have a different conversation and a question to your database, right? And so the benefits are we have training. Every Monday we have a role playing. Every Thursday we have a training. We're adding a number of different trainings through the week now as well. But they start off with senior relocation services. It's 3 months of training, right? There's 1031 exchanges. That's 3 months of training. DSTs and legacy planning. That's a month. Trust sales, probate sales, and divorce, or is how it rolls out the year. All of these are live. They're also recorded. Okay, so the way it works for the certification is you come live, which is going to be your best route, or if you can't, go to the recorded class, take the test, you pass 80%, you're certified in that area. But that doesn't mean you've actually done anything, ladies and gentlemen. What you really have to do is the homework, because the homework really shows you that you've actually done something other than know something, because we want you to get past education to implementation, right? If you're the smartest guy in the block, but you never do anything about it, what good is that, right? And so that's what you want to do is get through the homework, go through the exercises, and build a real business around it. Just don't we don't want people coming just for a certification, right? We want you to come to show up differently, right, and provide a higher level of value to your community and your clients. All this is $199 a month. Now there is a minimum $75,000 of GCI per year, 2 years of license in good standing, and it is limited to just 5% of all agents in the market center. Okay, next slide. Okay, how many of you guys are going to family reunion? Anybody going to family reunion? Well, if you know somebody that is, here's what's going on there. Okay. So on Saturday the 24th, we fly in the morning, and we have a class at 12. It's called The Art of Persuasion. My coach Wally Malish and myself, we're going to teach the best tips and tricks to present and persuade somebody into a position of your desire. Next slide. And then that evening, we have a mixer from 5 to 8 over at, where is it at? The Flight Club. Okay, next slide. And then if you're there, the mastermind is a 4-hour deep dive class into everything we've talked about. We're going to have a complete immersion into the world of a senior. We're going to dive deep into 1031 exchanges and DSTs and how that's generating listings. We're going to talk about trust and probate, and we're also going to wrap up with some very strategic financing options to get deals sold. So if you know somebody that's going, suggest them to come out and RSVP. This is a free event. We are selling out. Well, we sold out the first time at 240 unit seats. Now we got a 440 seats convention room, and it's filling up very quickly. So if you know somebody, get them save a seat. Next slide. And if you need to reach me, that's how you reach me. That's the end of our presentation. I wanted to find out if there's any questions that I didn't see any of the chat. Sorry. What do you see as the best? Oh, so Ryan Godshow asks, what do you see is the best way to become the trusted advisor for these communities? Do you see a big value with them, with having a team? Oh, I lost it. Are you on? Okay. Yeah, it moved on me. So how do we connect with financial planners? Number one, we ask everybody you know, right? Who's your financial planner? How do you like them? What makes them good, right? Your goal is to identify what's their value proposition, because every client that you have isn't going to fit every single financial planner by personality, right? By solution, by how they show up. So you want to have a bank of them, like a in the old days we used to use the word Rolodex for you. Some of you old enough, right? You're in a Rolodex of financial planners, right? Well, you want to identify them, right? Because you want to be the matchmaker. See, the goal is if you become a really good matchmaker, guess what? There's a lot of referrals that you're going to get, because as you give, you're going to get. It's just a natural byproduct of our world, right? And so the conversation, Ryan, could be, hey, um, I find out that Joe has X as a financial planner. I'm going to call X and I'm going to say, hey, I'm just curious, are you looking to grow your business? And they go, well, yeah, I actually am. See, because if they don't want to grow their business, they're not somebody you want to connect with. They don't want a referral, right? So that's the first qualifying question. By the way, in sales, the faster you can get to the highest qualified prospect you get, the faster you get to conversion. Okay, and so if they're open for more business, they say, hey, we have a lot of clients that when they sell a home, they don't know where to go. And I ask them if they have a financial planner, and some of them say no. Would it make sense for me to refer them to you? And say, well, yeah, that'd be great. So, well, here's the process that we follow. Is number one, I'd like to take you to lunch. Right? I'd like to learn more about your business, understand your value proposition, and maybe also I can share with you our value proposition and tell you what we do, what makes us different, right? And so I take them to lunch. They tell me all these things. I explain what I do, and they go, wow, that's just amazing. I can't believe that, right? I can't believe that you do these things. And then I ask them, do you know anybody off the top of your head that might need my services? Almost always you get one, at least one within the next month or so, right? And now you've created a networking system. And now if you stay in touch with them, you invite them to places. I just had a couple of drinks with a financial planner, became a friend of mine. We're going to start doing seminars just for him and his company. It's Ameriprise. And we're going to build this model all over the country now through Ameriprise. Right? So models like that, I've spoken at every trust company in our state, most of the trust attorneys in our state, every bank in our state I've spoken at, every financial institution I've trained. I've trained CPAs. I've trained estate planners in the communities, Financial Planners Association. Why? Because we talk about the building, protecting, and transferring of wealth in the form of real estate. Okay? I don't touch anything else outside of real estate. Okay? Was there any other question that I missed?
So
Oh,
then, so Ryan is asking for more for the sales reps instead of financial planners.
what sales reps?
So he's saying I was referring more to the sales reps in the communities. So the question that you were
Oh,
answering,
oh yeah.
it's more
So
for
when
the
you call the
sales rep.
retirement community, again, we have a whole conversation on the phone call and then on the showing at the site. So on the call is, hey, Ryan, my name is Danny Ihara, and I'm a real estate planner. What we do is we help people transition from their home to somewhere else. And what we're looking at is making sure we understand all the options out there. I understand you're a retirement community. My first question is, are you still looking for new residents? Same qualified question, right? They go, yes. Okay, great. Just curious, what's your occupancy rate? See, if their occupancy rate is less than 80% or significantly less than that, they are very interested to talk to you, right? But they're not interested to give you anything. See, what most realtors do is they show up and they say, hey, I know that there's a lot of old people moving in. I know there's something else. Can you refer them to me? Everybody does that. So we don't do that at all. We say, hey, we want to give you something, right? We have a client, and I'm not sure if they're a right fit, but I'd love to learn more about that, because what if I could be a matchmaker and bring clients to you? Would that be a good thing? They go, yeah, that's great. Well, let's talk about how we can make that work, right? Because I'm in front of a lot of folks that need to move. Now you became a friend. Now you're attractive. I'm not asking for a penny. I'm just allowing, I want to learn more about what that is, because the more I understand all the options, imagine being a good back in the old days, good tour agent and a bad tour agent. What's the difference? The good tour agent knows all the best ins and outs. Well, that's what you want to be, right? In the retirement community world. And it's really options, right? If I can't stay home, do I go to a month rental? Do I go to a CCRC? Do I go to an equity property, something that I buy and I keep, or I buy and I rent? Do I downsize with my kids? Some people want to live on a cruise ship. We can do that for a year or two. I have a client that actually did that, lived on a cruise ship for a year and a half. He said, "This is my suite. I'm going to get off and I'm going to come back. And that's my suite for the next year." That she traveled all over the place.
Okay, there's one more question from Vondal. He's asking, I'm a new SRES. How do I get to do presentation with CCRs?
To bring value, right? So the question is, what value will you bring if you were to present it? What would you present and what value you bring, right? What most retirement communities want is they don't want you to yeah, they want you to educate their members, but really they want to build occupancy, right? They want to get more people through the doors. So how do you attract people through the doors? And what seminar are you going to provide that will get people through the doors? For us, we started with senior living options. We did that for over a decade. One of our competitors copied us, so we changed the name. And now it's planning for the future and beyond. That's what I have to do in the next hour. I got to drive out and do that for 2 hours. And with that, it would attract people to the seminar. Now, how do you get them to allow you to do that? You got to prove that you can, right? That you're going to bring people in. How do you do that? You got to know your research and you got to have a database. But another way to attract people to these things, there's a thing called PropStream. Maybe Kapil can put the code in there. PropStream, you can identify anybody over the age of 65 that lives in a home, owner-occupant home, over $1 million within X amount of range of the retirement community, right? That have owned it more than X number of years, right? So you know they've got tons of equity. That's what we do. We actually haven't have to do that. Backing up way back when I first started, 6 months into becoming a realtor, I committed to signing on a contract with a newspaper for $24,000 a year. I was 6 months into being a licensed realtor. It's $2,000 a month. And I did that because for $2,000 a month, I wrote an article every Tuesday in the newspaper. Till today, it's still in the paper. I don't write it anymore, but we have people that write it. But it's still there. That's branding, and that's where my demographic, that's where they look, right? They look in the newspaper still, right? So I'm only going to put money and time where they look. I know they open their mail, right? They got time for that stuff. They may not be on the internet as much, right? But you know what's interesting? Most of the people that we get coming to our seminars class is from our database. I'm going to leave you one tip because I got to leave. Is Gary Keller told us when we first came to the company, feed your database and touch it regularly. Feed your database and touch it. So I took that seriously. 12 years ago, we had 3,000 people in our database after 9 years of being in real estate. A number of years of being in real estate. And then today we have 18,000, right? So we put a focus and measure it every day. Know how many is in your database, because what you focus on expands. And most of the people come to us now are from our database. So we don't door knock, we don't cold call. We have a big enough database. So that's my suggestion. Start it now, build it, and I got to run. I'm getting called to the next call. If you're going to family reunion, please stop by. We'd love to see you. Thanks again for stopping in. Aloha.